Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my out-of-box review for the HGUC Zaku II F2, and gotta say, as I said in the unboxing, I felt that this kit was going to be like a really straightforward, just fun, simple build, and I gotta say, it definitely was. So I really love this build. I mean, it's a very simple Zaku. I really felt like when I was putting it together, like, I think I could probably build this without using the instruction manual at all. Like, really simple. Really nice build. Everything goes together really well, of course. With it being a little bit older kit, you really don't feel that at all. I mean, this really felt, kind of like very similar in some ways to the Origin Zaku kits. So I really can feel like how they really took maybe this kit and maybe some of the other, I know there's other newer HGUC Zaku 2 variants out there, but it's really easy to see where they kind of went from that, or from this, to the Origin Zaku kits. A lot of similar aspects to them in terms of their construction and everything. This one, not like super detailed. It's not definitely not, doesn't have the same detail level of an Origins kit, but really super nice construction. The articulation is really nice. Like I said, it really doesn't feel as old as it is. And I guess I shouldn't say it's that old. It is only from 2010, so I mean 7 years. But I mean, if this kit would have come out last year, I wouldn't be surprised by that. So definitely a really nice and solid build overall. Let's take a look at some of the details here. I did put a few of the stickers on it. The stickers are just those kind of sticker decals. Aren't really too many of them, but there are a few, and they work, passable if you don't paint, but if you're going to be painting, I think I'd recommend just getting some water slides, because as you can see like that square outline around the stickers, especially on the black part. They're not going to be looking all that good. You see little stars there on the head there as well. So as far as the head, one thing that this definitely has the advantage over the Origins kit is that the mono eye is actually a molded detail on there, so painting that is going to be super easy. In the meantime, I just stuck the sticker on there, but it's going to be really easy to paint that, whereas with the Origins kits, there is no molded detail for that, so you just kind of have to make your own circle. This one does have the same thing where it has the switch underneath there, so you can turn the mono eye from side to side. That's relatively simple there. Just overall, just a really nice part separation. I mean, Zaku's doesn't really have a whole lot of different parts in terms of like different color apps everywhere, but this one is really nice. So you can see like the gray there, and even has the little bits of black poking through the gray there from the chest part. So really nice for that. Everything, like I said, the construction is really nicely planned out for this. The torso, it does have a little bit of a forward bend. So this is kind of the thing where Zaku 2's, it's kind of really hard to give them really nice articulation here in the stomach section, especially in HGs, just because of the cable wrapping around here. But this one does do it relatively good. So you can see there is a little bit of ab crunch there, not going to be a whole lot, but again, for a 7-year-old HG thing, just to have a little bit is pretty nice. I think if I even pull these out a little bit, you can even get that a little bit farther there. So the interesting thing about it here in the backpack is that these plugs here, the cables, don't actually plug in firmly into anywhere, so they're just kind of loose in there, so those will move side to side, those will move out and in. So when you want to turn this, you can actually use that to your advantage to get a little bit of a turn in the waist. Not a lot, again, same like the stomach crunch. The turn side to side is not going to be all that much, but it's a little bit, and you're able to do that thanks to these cables being like that they can slide in and out. While we're here, the backpack just kind of flat, relatively plain there. We have thrusters here. They are kind of on ball joint polycaps, but they don't really move around all that much. The shoulder joints will swing forward, like we're used to seeing with a lot of the more recent high grades. So you even have that part in there that's kind of very similar to the Thunderbolt kits. How we have this actual plastic part that covers up the polycap there to make that look really nice inside there. So that works really well, that shoulder joint. And then the shoulder armor itself will move up and out of the way. Then you can move the arm up so that the shoulder armor is kind of like covering the head there. But the point is that you can bring the arm up perpendicular to the body all the way to there. Then otherwise the arm is pretty standard rotation there. A bend at the elbow, which is really only going to give you about 90 degrees, unfortunately. I feel like due to the design of that armor, it would be kind of hard to give you anything more. But I really like the look of the joints on this kit, how we have like these really thick, big joints on there. It's definitely an interesting take on, compared to the regular Zaku II, like the J-type. So I really like this forearm design too as well, so no seam lines there. Really the only seam lines on this kit is going to be here on the shoulder armor. So I did already put some glue on that, so you'll see that is kind of already glued there. But that's pretty much it, just need to glue that. And then the inner shoulder part, there is a seam on there as well. See, just a really tiny one in there. And because that's covered up on both sides, you could not do that. I did glue those already. I will wipe that seam out. But if you didn't, I think no one would ever notice. So as you can see there, the shoulder armor here on this side also just on a ball joints, but it's really just gonna kind of rotate. It's really all the movement you're gonna get out of that. No detail really on the shield at all. Would have been nice if there was a little bit of molded detail on there, just a couple little notch marks or something, but that should be really easy to describe in there if you have a little bit of scribing practice. The wrists are on ball joints. The front skirt will move up and forward and back. Just this whole section here moves together. The side skirts will move a tiny bit, not really a whole lot there. The back skirt doesn't move at all, but you can see we do have these ports around here on the skirt, on the side, and then on the back where you can plug in some stuff. We'll get to that in a little bit. The hip joint will swing side to side. So there you go, it can like turn like that. And then of course the legs just rotate at the top. Nice double joint there at the knee. Again, you're really only going to get about 90 degrees. I think that's mostly just kind of due to the design. But it's enough, I think, so it's going to be okay. And then here are the ankles. Also really like just this small little adjustment to the design that making this top part of the foot black just kind of helps break up the space here where normally this would just be a big mass of green. So I like that a lot about the F2. So the ankle will move side to side, forward, really far there. It doesn't have the bend in the foot like the Origins kits have, but to be honest, that's a really cool feature of the Origins kits, but it's really not that noticeable when it actually comes to posing the kit, so that's all good. Back, not really all that far, but again, I think Zaku's, just due to the design of the lower leg, ankle movement around there is not really ever going to be their strong point. Let's get into the accessories, because this kit does have quite a lot. So first we have the 90mm machine gun. And I'm not really a big fan of this one, to be honest. I don't really like the design of this gun, so I'll show you this in a pose later, but that's probably the only time I'll ever give it to this kit. We do have two of these missile pods that go onto the leg. So again, I'll show you those on the kit here in a moment, but we have one of those for the left and the right, all molded in gray, so you will have to do a little bit of painting on those to make them the correct colors. We do have, of course, the standard Zaku Heat Hawk. I haven't tried this in the hand yet, but I imagine, like with most Zaku kits, it's going to be a little bit loose, and yeah, it's feeling kind of loose there in the handle. You'll notice I also have the connection piece already attached onto here. This does have a little connection piece, which we'll use to attach that onto the side skirt, like so. This, however, I feel is also a little bit loose, as that doesn't really want to stay in there very well. But that would be simple enough to glue if you are so inclined. But also for the side skirt, we do have these two little grenades. So you can just plug these onto here if you want. Really like the look of these. Would have been nice if we had another set to put on the other side, but you only get one set, so you can just put those on one side skirt there. It's meant to be on this side, but you could put on that side, but then they'd be facing the wrong way. They'd be backwards. They aren't completely symmetrical, so you can see that they do have a front and a back. As for head options, you can see I just have the standard head on there, but we do have a couple different options for that. We have this head, which also doesn't have an commander antenna, a commander horn, but just has these three little extra armor panels on there. So that's a cool, interesting look variation. I'm not really all that into it. I just kind of like this just standard baldy head, but that is interesting. But you can also do the standard commander antenna, commander horn one there as well. As for hand options, again, this is very similar to the Origin Zaku. I almost wonder if it's even the exact same mold. I'll have to take a look when I show you a comparison here, but we have the holding hands, which I have attached onto the kit now at the moment already. For the left side, we have a trigger finger hand for holding one of two of the rifles, and then for the right hand, we have this open hand. And again, pretty sure this is exactly, that these hands are exactly the same as on the Origin Zaku kits. Then last but not least, we have the Zaku Machine Gun. Now this is my favorite thing about this kit. Favorite accessory, favorite weapon for this kit. Really like the look of this machine gun. Definitely has a much more kind of modern, realistic rifle look to it. Still has all the same kind of movement as a standard Zaku machine gun. The secondary handle folds out. The camera here will rotate. We do also have an extra ammo drum for that, which you can attach onto the other side skirt like this. So you can have the grenades on one side, extra ammo on the other side, or you can plug that onto the back skirt if you wanted to do it like that. You can do that. So for comparison, here is with the Origins Zaku 2. This is actually the very first Origins kit, so it's the Char's Custom Zaku 2. And I figure it'd be the closest thing we have for a comparison until we very soon get the actual standard green type Zaku 2 of the Origins version. It's going to be pretty much basically exactly the same though. So anyway, like I said, the Origin Zaku going to be having a lot more surface detail for sure, and I think that's definitely something where it gets points. The articulation of the Zaku, of the Origin Zaku, going to be a little bit better. It definitely has a lot more frame going on with it. It definitely has a lot more kind of nice engineering going on in there for sure. Definitely it's a lot newer kit, obviously. Also, as you would expect, definitely going to be different in terms of just kind of the size and shape of different things. You can see like the shoulder armor on the Zaku kit, on the Origin kit, is smaller where it's larger on the HGUC kits. The head on the Origin kit is larger where it's smaller on the HGUC kit. The shoulder, the kind of shield side is also a little bit different in size too. The legs are just going to be a little bit different in size. Obviously the Origins kits have very huge bulky thighs. And that's also just the design of the F2 is also kind of having a little bit different shape in its thighs. But you can see just basically how they're going to be quite different looking. I think, to me, it seems like the F2 looks definitely noticeably smaller than the Origin skin. I think that has a lot to do with the head size. The head is noticeably smaller, and I think that kind of makes the whole mobile suit look a little bit smaller. But anyway, one other thing I should also mention about both of the different machine guns is that both of them do have a peg in the hands, so those will stay in the hands very securely. Also, concerning the hands, I did check compared to the Origin kits, and they are exactly the exact same hands as the Origin kits, so that means the hands that Bandai used, at least the kind of mold of them, was the same from quite a long time ago. Anyway, the other thing about the rifles is that when they're not in use, there's nowhere to actually store them on the kit. So while you have some cool things that you can plug onto the side skirts, the heat hawk, the ammo drum for the machine gun, and the grenades that you can plug onto the side or back skirt, you can't actually plug either of the machine guns onto pretty much anywhere. And that's not too unusual. Most Zakus don't really have a place where you can store the Zaku machine gun on the skirt, but kind of would maybe be nice to have a way to store that onto the back skirt. I think if you wanted to do that, you'd probably have to modify it a bit and probably add a magnet or a peg or something to just make that work yourself. But again, if that's something you wanted to do, I really don't think it would be that difficult, but you won't be able to do it just straight out of the box. So as you can see here, holding that rifle with two hands, not going to be a problem at all for this kit, as I get this to basically the weapons and accessory loadout that I'm probably going to stick with this kit. Grenades on one side skirt, extra ammo jump on the other side, and then that Zaku machine gun in hand. I don't know if this is the pose that I'll eventually like stick with forever with this whenever I get around to painting this kit, but do have to say that this is a really, really nice kit. Definitely recommend it if you're a fan of HG Zaku kits or just Zakus in general, or you're just looking for just a nice, solid HG kit to get. This one is really nice. Like I said, it really only has like the one major seam line that you really have to get rid of, just on the shoulder armor. Very typical for an HG Zaku kit. I don't know if I can think of any HG Zaku kit that doesn't have that. I guess you could also maybe sort of count a little bit on the back of the leg there. Going down the main part of the back of the leg there, that's actually just a panel line there. They've just gone ahead and made that a panel line. But there is a little bit there at the bottom where I guess you could just throw a little glue on that. But overall, this kit is not going to take very much work to get it ready for paint. And then paint it up, it's going to look super, super nice. So that's pretty much it for this review, guys. Hopefully this has been helpful. It's interesting maybe to take a look at some older kits every now and then whenever I can. So leave your questions, comments, likes, dislikes, subscribes, whatever you guys want to do. All of that's down below. As always, thank you guys for watching. See you next time.
69.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.